So back in 2014, I was in a rush to move into another apartment, and there were not many available for the time frame I wanted it for. At least not any good apartments, and definitely not in any good areas. I finally found a nice, decent apartment with 3 rooms, and moved in for the time being. At least I had a place to live while looking for a better place. The suite was newly renovated, so I was supposed to get new appliances as well. There had been a mistake with the fridge, and the landlord told me that they would replace it as soon as possible, and I should be expecting it within the first 2 weeks of moving in. About a month later, I got a knock on the door. I went to look through the peephole and saw a man standing there with a piece of paper in his hand and another man behind him. "Fridge," the man said behind the door. I opened the door and saw 2 men. The first man was a delivery guy. Behind him stood a man who really didn't care about his appearance and honestly looked like he just crawled out of a dumpster. I thought he was just a helper. I let the man aside, and he placed the refrigerator in the kitchen. The greasy man followed him inside and introduced himself to me. "I am the new landlord," he said with a smile. "Really? Where did the other one go?" I asked. I was a bit startled, as he looked like a freaking homeless guy. Who the hell would hire him? "Oh, she doesn't work here anymore," he said. Well, no shit, I thought. The delivery guy then said bye and left, but the landlord didn't. "Where are your parents?" he asked me. I told him I lived here alone. Big mistake. "No way, you look like a 15-year-old girl," he said with a smile. "Haha, I get that a lot. What do you need a big place like this for?" he asked. I just told him I was moving in temporarily. He walked over to the kitchen and started opening and closing the fridge door. "Just checking if everything's good," he said. I just nodded and leaned against the wall and watched. He then stood there, looking at the fridge and then back at me. Why doesn't this guy just freaking leave? I thought to myself. Then he said, "You're really cute. Look at you standing over there. You are so cute." I let out a laugh and thanked him. No red flags yet. He then said, "I live on the first floor. If you want to come visit, we can hang out." I didn't know how to answer him. Haha. Yeah, I mean, I don't think... But before I could say another word, he interrupted me. "I have no friends, and I don't talk to my family. I'm really lonely." Okay, red flags are going off now. I asked him why he didn't talk to his family, but he brushed it off and changed the topic quickly. Then he started walking to the door and repeated himself once again. "Don't forget, first floor, don't be a stranger." I followed him to the door and locked it when he left. I felt a bit uncomfortable, but soon forgot about it. About 3 days later, I got a phone call from a place I applied to. I had landed a part-time job at Best Buy. This was my second job since I already had a job at an insurance company. I was excited to start at Best Buy. I was hired in the tech department, and I loved computers. Before I go on, I worked Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 at the insurance place, and then 3 days a week at Best Buy, mostly in the evening, but it varied on weekends. So on the first day, I headed out of my apartment, took the elevator down, and was about to exit the front door when I heard a familiar voice. "Hey." It was the landlord. "Hey, what's up?" I said. "Nothing much. Where you going?" he asked. I ignored the question and told him I needed to go and walked out the door. I didn't need to drive to work because Best Buy was walking distance. About 3 minutes into my walk, I noticed a gray car drive slowly beside me. I glanced over to see who it was, and it was the landlord. He rolled the passenger side down. "Where you going?" I told him I was on my way to work, and I was going to be late if I continued chatting. I said bye and continued to walk a bit faster. "Wait, let me take you to work. Where you work?" "No, it's alright. It's not far away. I work at Best Buy. I'll walk." I know. Another dumb mistake. I shouldn't have told him where I worked. "Come on, let me take you. I'm heading to Tim Hortons anyway. Need to get some coffee." Well, it wouldn't hurt if he dropped me off. I thought, he's going in the same direction anyway. I hesitated a bit, but then accepted the offer. I got into the car. I know again, dumb of me, and let him drive me to work. It was a very short ride, but he did not fail to make me feel uncomfortable. When I finally got to my work's parking lot, I thanked him and reached for the door to open it, but it didn't open. "Hey, your door is locked." "Oh, haha. I have a habit to lock doors. Before I let you go, can you give me your number?" I lied to him and told him my phone wasn't working, and that I was just using my iPod. My phone wasn't on vibrate, and I was hoping to God I wouldn't get a text message or any other notifications. "Okay, then let me give you my number," he said. He grabbed a piece of paper and wrote his number down. "Give me a call, okay?" "Ha, sure," I said. "When you gonna call me?" he asked. "I don't know. I'll call you when I get a chance to," I told him. "What time are you done? I'll pick you up." "I don't know. It's my first day. I don't know how long I'm gonna be here for." I was hoping he would fall for my lie. He unlocked the doors, and I stepped out of the car. I thanked him again and walked towards the store. Before leaving, he once again shouted, "Don't forget to call," and drove off. Jesus, what a creepy guy he is. I threw the little piece of paper out and forgot the whole situation again. The next day, I was too scared to take the elevator, since he always happened to be everywhere I was going. So I decided to take the stairs. It led to the back door, and I was sure I wouldn't see him. I did this for about 4 days and never saw him. Great, this works, I thought. On the 4th night, I was sitting in the living room, watching YouTube videos on my laptop. It was around 10:30 p.m., and I was kind of dozing off when I heard a knock on the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. Who could it be? I sat there quietly and did not move, hoping that they would just go away. Another knock. I tiptoed down to the door and looked out the peephole. It was a landlord again. "Hey, you there? Open up." Confused and tired, I opened the door. The conversation went as followed. "Hey, what's up? Where the hell have you been? What do you mean? I don't see you leave for work anymore. Did you quit or something?" "No, I still go to work. I just have a weird schedule." "You never called me. I was waiting for your call. You never called me. You promised." "Sorry, I just never got a chance to. I work 2 jobs and I'm pretty busy. I came to your work and asked for you, and they told me no one by your name worked there. Did you lie to me? Did you lie to me about your name?" I was caught off guard. I didn't know what to tell him. I had indeed lied to him about my name. But that wasn't what freaked me out. Why the hell would he have gone to my work? You went to my work? Why?" I asked a bit nervously. "Because I didn't see you around. I wanted to know where you were," he said, irritated. I didn't respond. He just stared at me for a moment, hoping that I would invite him in. But there was no way in hell I was going to invite this guy in. I'm really tired. I need to go to work tomorrow. I'll see you around." "Look, I need to talk to you. Can we talk?" "Honestly, I'm tired right now. Can this wait?" "Whatever, fine," he said while walking away, still muttering something under his breath. I shut the door and stayed up for a bit, afraid that he would return. Luckily, he did not return, and I could finally go to sleep. So the next day came. I got ready for work again and decided to take the elevator. The elevator door opened, and guess who was there? Yep, it was him. He asked me if I needed a ride to work. I responded, "No." "Are you sure?" he asked. I told him once again that I didn't need a ride, and I got out of the elevator and went to work. This went on for months. By this time, I had already mentioned him to my manager and coworkers. They just told me that if I didn't show up for work one day, they'd call the police. Sometimes he'd see me walk out of the main door, and he would just drop everything he was doing and come after me, asking me if I needed a ride. Other times he'd ask me if we could hang out and if he could take me on a date. Knocking on my door in the middle of the night was a pretty common thing. One time, he was in the middle of a conversation with another tenant. The tenant was complaining about something that had broken and that he needed it fixed. The landlord told the tenant that he should go to his apartment and he would get his tools and follow quickly after. The tenant left, but he never went to go get his tools. Instead, he followed me outside and offered me a ride to work again. I told him no, and that he needed to do his job and help the tenant. He said he didn't give a shit about the tenant, he just wanted to be around me. This creeped me out, of course. My manager had given me permission to go to the back room to get out of sight whenever he came in and looked for me, which he had done several times while I was at work. I caught him walking in once, scanning the entire store to see if he could spot me, but luckily he didn't, so he just left. He also mentioned once to me that he wanted to kidnap me. He told me he just wanted to take me away and keep me to himself. I remember when he said it, he looked like he was hesitating, as if he was gonna act on it right away. I found it really alarming, but I wasn't too scared. I don't know why. I guess I didn't realize how much danger I was in at the time, which is odd. But I did play it cool, in case he was really gonna try to do something. Now you may ask why I never called the police. Well, the police wouldn't have done anything since he has not caused any physical harm, so there would be no point in calling them. Also, I had no real proof that these things were happening, or any of the things that he said to me, other than him showing up to my work a few times. He continued to come to my work often to look for me, and if he didn't see me, he would leave. Or he would bang on my door in the middle of the night, asking me to open the door. I, of course, would now just ignore it. He had no way of reaching me anymore, because it was now clear to him that I was avoiding him. A couple of weeks passed and I was awoken by the sound of the fire alarm going off. Oh shit, that's right. There's supposed to be another fire drill today. It was my day off. I quickly went to go see if I still had the note, to see what time they were going to enter my apartment. Maybe I still had time to get ready and leave the apartment, since the landlord usually comes with the person who checks the alarm. I couldn't find the note. I got ready as fast as I could, and I was halfway done when I heard a knock on the door. Crap, I thought. I opened the door, and there was a guy for the alarm, and the landlord. They both walked in. The landlord didn't say a word to me. Guy checked the alarm and said it was good, and they both left. I felt relieved. That went well, right? Wrong. Not even a minute passed, and I heard another knock on the door. Hey, it's me. Can you open for a second? I ignored it. He knocks louder. Hey man, I know you're still in there. Stop playing with me. I need to tell you something. Come on, open up. It continued for about 2 minutes. Then it finally fell silent. I had enough of this fucking guy. I had to do something about this. That night, I was supposed to go to my friend's house to hang out with her and also return her laptop. I got ready and left my apartment around 11 p.m. It was really nice out. It was a long walk, but I really loved walking. I took the elevator down, and when the elevator door opened, I saw him standing by his door. He hadn't seemed to notice me yet, so I acted fast. Either I go back into the elevator or I sprint to the front door. In a split-second decision, I went for the front doors, but sadly, he noticed me, and I heard heavy footsteps running behind me. Before I go on with the story, I want to say that when you leave the front doors, you see a big parking lot. So basically, the front door is pretty much the back of the building, and the back doors are the front. I know, it's weird. Anyhow, when I got outside, I ran halfway around the building. There was no one there. I stopped running and started walking again, but something inside me told me to keep running. Little did I know that the reason why the footsteps behind me had stopped was because he had gone back inside and went to the back door to catch me there. When I got to the other side of the building, I saw that he had made it halfway around the back side of the building. I started running again, and he started running after me. He chased me for about 2 blocks, where we both occasionally stopped to catch our breaths. I was close to the main road when I stopped running. My lungs were burning, and I couldn't run anymore. Whatever happened next, I had to fight. He caught on. Out of breath, he said, "Stop. Stop, man. You're killing me. Stop doing this to me." I looked in shock, didn't say a word, still trying to catch my breath. "Stop doing this to me," he said, letting out a small cry. For the first time, I saw a look of sadness mixed with anger. "Stop following me. I yelled. What the hell do you want? Don't go. Please come with me. Let's talk, he pleaded. Talk about what? He was still trying to catch his breath. I didn't care anymore. I was shaking, tired, and I just wanted to see my friend. I didn't even make out what he said because of all the adrenaline. I started walking again, turning around every 2 seconds to see if he was following me, but he wasn't. He just watched me walk away, and this was the last time I ever saw him. Creepy landlord, please, let's not ever meet again.
I have an ongoing situation with someone who lives nearby, and I thought this would be a good community to seek advice from, since everyone here has a decent spidey sense. So, I live in a large city, but my neighborhood has a very peaceful residential feel. Lots of multi-story row houses and apartment buildings, which means lots of people living in a small area. Everyone is relatively friendly, and I always have nice conversations while out walking my dogs. So, one day about 3 years ago, I was walking my 2 dogs just 1 block from my apartment. A man walked up who looks identical to Quentin Tarantino. He immediately stooped down and began talking in a baby voice to my dogs. They looked really uncomfortable and kept pulling away and ducking their heads. He did this for about 5 minutes, and finally I tugged their leashes and said, "Gotta go, have a good one." Quentin Tarantino never acknowledged me or conversed with me. We walked off. Then, over the next few years, I kept encountering him like clockwork during every single walk. Every time he would rush over with his baby voice, and my dogs would give me these pitiful looks. I'm totally cool with people petting my dogs, but the way this man went about it. No asking for permission, no saying hi or even acknowledging my presence, just diving right down to pet my dogs and coo in their ears. It was unnerving, but okay. He was the neighborhood dog-obsessed weirdo. I started coming up with alternate routes in order to avoid encountering him, which usually worked. Sometimes I'd see him standing at the corner looking around, so I'd abruptly turn around and walk the other way. At the time, I lived with someone who would often walk my dogs for me, and he also encountered the strange man. One day, he told him to fuck off, and never touch the dogs again without permissions, and the guy went poof, and disappeared. I did not see him for at least 12 months. And I thought he had moved. I almost forgot he existed. So, about 2 months ago, I was up late at night trying to finish something before a deadline. I always walk my dogs before bed, but time sort of flew by as I was working. I didn't realize it was already 2:30 a.m. by the time I finished. My neighborhood was very safe and full of nice young families and retired folk, so I didn't think much about leashing my dogs up and heading out in the middle of the night. As I suspected, the streets were absolutely dead. We slowly strolled around, and the dogs were taking their sweet time smelling every little thing and peeing every 2 seconds. I crossed the street to a sidewalk that is lined with very thick oak trees. There is parallel street parking on this side of the street, and all of the slots were filled with tall SUVs, so the sidewalk itself was incredibly dark. The trees and SUVs blocked out what little moonlight existed. So one dog is pooping on a tree while I'm standing there lost in my own thoughts. Then I hear a weird laugh that honestly sounds like it belongs to a deranged clown, or maybe the leprechaun from the movie Leprechaun. Hee hee hee. I immediately start looking around. My dogs are really on edge and look like they're about to bolt. Hee hee hee. Other than the weird laughing, it is dead silent outside. I don't even hear a single cricket. I'm looking around frantically for the source, and it sounds like it's getting nearer. Hee 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 hee. I felt like I was in a Goosebumps novel. I wasn't quite sure which direction to head, or to get away from John Wayne Gacy, and my feet felt glued to the sidewalk. Finally, I spot him. Yeah, you guessed it. Quentin Tarantino. He's walking on the street adjacent to my sidewalk, except on the other side of the SUVs, so that I couldn't see him at first. He's doing this weird prancing walk towards me and my dogs while hee-hee-heeing, and I'm like, nope. So I just start sprinting with my dogs towards my house. Does Quentin stop his creep act after realizing he is terrifying me? No. I am almost positive he is chasing me, because I hear footsteps pounding behind me, and he's no longer whispering, hee hee hee. It's now more of a loud guffaw, punctuated by heavy breathing. Great. So I put on an extra burst of speed, round the corner that leads to my back door, and hide behind a dumpster with my dogs. I try to hold them still so that their collars don't jingle. Then I see him walk by. No, stroll by. He's all nonchalant like nothing ever happened. And he's whistling. I wait about 5 minutes until I'm almost sure that he's gone, and then I hurry inside. I told my friends, and they all insisted that I somehow follow the guy the next time I see him so that I can figure out where he lives, then report him to the police. But what could he be arrested for? I work in criminal law here, and I can't think of anything. What he did doesn't qualify as stalking or assault or anything like that. So instead, I stopped walking my dogs after the sunset, changed up my dog walk routine, and changed the time I took the dogs out. A month after that incident, I'm asleep and my buzzer rings. For some reason, the buzzer is in my bedroom, even though my bedroom is in the back of the apartment, and it's loud. I wake up sweating with my heart pounding and adrenaline immediately coursing through my veins. The dogs race to the front door and start howling. I check my phone and see it's 3:45 in the morning. Who rings a doorbell at 3:45 in the morning? The buzzer keeps buzzing for about 5 minutes, and I'm surprised my neighbors aren't pissed because it's that loud. I creep toward the front door, trying not to step on any creaky floorboards. My dogs are up on the couch looking out the window, next to the couch, and barking viciously. Then I hear a creepy baby voice saying, "Aw, aren't you the cutest, wootiest little puppies? I love you." I refused to get the visual confirmation because I was beyond freaked out. Who else could that baby voice belong to? He left, and I never opened the door. Which brings me to today. I'm walking home from work around 6 p.m. I see him standing at his usual corner. I'm dog free. He begins following me about 5 to 10 feet from behind. I decide to walk down the back alley and go through my back door. The apartment has a front door on the main street, then I have a porch in the back alley with a back door that opens into my bedroom. The porch is open access, so anyone in the world can walk into the alley and then onto my porch. So before I turn into the alley, I look behind me to see if he's still there. He's maybe 4 feet away, and he stops and looks at me with this weird look on his face. He looks almost embarrassed. I quickly walk down the alley and up the stairs leading to my back porch. I turned back when I was on the stairs and saw him standing at the mouth of the alley. Then he walked out of sight. About 30 minutes ago, I'm napping on the couch. It's silent in my apartment, and all of a sudden I hear really intense banging on my back door. It's angry and really heavy banging. The pounding continues for what feels like 5 minutes straight, but in actuality is probably more like 2. My dogs wake up and scramble to the back door, growling and barking. The banging stops. Then when I start to relax, it starts up again. There's absolutely no reason for anyone to ever go on my back porch or knock that door. The back porch is hidden from view by wooden walls. You would have to go up a flight of stairs, and the whole thing is almost completely covered with cardboard boxes because I am hoarding them for a move. It's also deep in an alley that no one ever walks down. The door itself looks nothing like a door that anyone should be knocking on. My landlords, neighbors, friends, etc. have always used my front door, which is well lit, has a doorbell, etc. So, I tiptoe back there, my heart pounding in my chest, and the doorknob starts to violently jiggle. Thank God for deadbolts. I peek through a tiny crack in the blinds and see Quentin Tarantino standing there. I slink back towards the front of my apartment and start furiously texting everyone I know in case he breaks in and turns me into a giant dog like that walrus-crazed guy in Tusk. None of my friends were responding, and my mom only said, "Just call me later this weekend, sweetie, I'm walking the dog." Quentin is gone now, but I'm jumping at every creak I hear. So what do? Do I call the police? I don't know the guy's name or where he lives, I just know he's always on my street, but I've never seen him go in an apartment. Again, I'm not sure what crime he should be charged with. Maybe attempted unlawful entry for jiggling the doorknob? Should I ask around and figure out where he lives? Should I just try to have a really forceful conversation with him? Maybe he just has some sort of intellectual disability or mental illness that could easily explain this weird behavior. Or is this something completely innocent and I'm being super paranoid? Thanks, Reddit. This was about 3 years ago. A friend and I moved into a house on the south end of Seattle, an industrial district on the Duwamish River. It was a nice-sized 2-bedroom house, and because of the location, rent was very cheap. There were a few other houses in the area, so we thought it would be a great place to host parties, shows, and various events, which we did, briefly. The one issue with this house was that the landlord was currently allowing 2 people to live in their RV parked in front. At first, things were fine. They were about 5 years older than us, but didn't mind us having people over and for the most part kept to themselves. Then one night we were having a planning meeting for a sort of punk rock swap meet that was set to occur at our house. Bands, record swapping, stuff like that. Anyway, we're sitting in the living room when the sliding glass door opens and the wife from the RV strolls into our house extremely intoxicated. She starts yelling at us, saying that we had no right to be in her house. Turns out, they had been renting the house, but when they became unable to pay the rent, our landlord started renting them the RV. Eventually, the husband and daughter who was visiting came over and escorted her out of the house. We spoke with our landlord, and he assured us that he would tell her that if anything like this ever happened again, they would be evicted. Things were fine for a few weeks until one day I came home from work to find that the sliding glass door in my room, which was always locked and had been in fact blocked by my desk since the day I moved in, was open, and our front door, again always locked, was wide open, and my cat was wandering around outside. I talked to my landlord, who then admitted that he never got the keys back from the people when they moved out, and also never changed the locks. We moved out the next day.